Thanks for encouraging me to do this and inviting me. And thank you all for coming out in such cold weather. I'm going to speak about how maps can reflect and communicate about the community that they're mapping. And in particular, we're going to look at how maps can be a part of design of your city. I'm going to use the Asheville map as the example to focus on. Perhaps some of you have seen this, have it, or seen it in the press or in the local stores. It's the brainchild and creation of, collaborative creation of my wife and myself. These are our official titles up here. In addition to being a troublemaker and an inspirational collaborator, Nora, my wife, had major responsibility for selecting and editing a lot of the visual and textual elements. My own background, I've been a map maker for a long time. I've had the good fortune to have worked on numerous large and significant projects. These are a few of them. So you might ask, well, why would we go ahead and make a map of Asheville? Well, we had been visiting here for about 5 years before we moved here in '09, and we collected a number of the maps that were available to us, none of which inspired us. They were either inaccuracies, omissions, a lot of advertising, and a general sort of lack of an aesthetic that spoke to us. So this leads me to, well, what does make a good map? You know, what kind of thing makes a good map? Well, content. Well, first of all, we are at the edge of the Appalachian Mountains, and that's a really important thing to have on a map. So this is part of the content, is to have a rich topographic base that speaks to where we are. The other thing is, our experience of Asheville is no longer confined to the few blocks of downtown that used to be the core. And so we decided to present Central Asheville, which goes from the French Broad River to the tunnel and from Trader Joe's to the hospital. Includes a little bit of West Asheville and most of River Arts. On the flip side, we go from just above Beaver Lake to Lake Julian, and from all of West Asheville and the Arboretum over to Warren Wilson, and it has a few insets as well. The important thing is to understand that layout and coverage choice is something that communicates an essential part of our community. The underlying architecture of a trustworthy map is good data. And this is curated data. It's data from the city, the county, the state, and the feds. And it was important for us to be able to utilize that rich data. It allows us things like building footprints and parcel lines and small streets and small street labels. Not that the information is that important, but the building footprints may not even be that accurate, but it gives a texture to the map. It says something about what the map is. The last cornerstone of content is points of interest. And we selected the POIs based on personal preference with an understanding of local-oriented businesses, things that would be useful, things like river access and ABC stores. Speaking of which, all the breweries have their own symbol, a star symbol. This was used in the Ash Vegas article about the South Slope breweries. So it's important to understand that the points of interest tell a lot about the city. There are a few hidden aspects of our map, one of which is a digital guidebook that's accessed through smart corners. The smart corners are incorporated graphically in the border of the map, and they're color-coded to the points of interest. This is what Asheville is about, is both having that analog and digital elements, things like Moog music and Art Deco, and also a digital and progressive atmosphere. We also have something called a Tura Obscura, another slightly hidden thing. There are these markers. Number 5 is about a rocket scientist that came to Big Sandy Mush to make brooms. The other aspect that's maybe not obvious in the map is that each map sold funds more than a meal's worth of food through Manna Food Bank. We donate money from each map that's sold. This is what Asheville is. It's about food, embracing food within our town, on the map, on the cover, but also caring about the food insecure and the hungry. So visual styling tried to capture both the land and the mountains. It is the land of the sky, after all, and also the sort of circus and quirky atmosphere of Asheville is most represented in the cover and on the border. The cover harkens back to older map cartouches. Our map cartouche is a genuine Asheville handmade hula hoop that we've used as a cartouche border. Older maps also were an inspiration right from the beginning. This is Charles Booth's 1889 map of London's poverty and wealth. I love that it goes from the vicious semi-criminal to the well-to-do and wealthy. But what I actually really liked was the way that London Bridge broke the border, and I've done something similar up there. I love his use of all different fonts as well. Older maps often used illustration to speak about the culture, and we've tried to capture that essence in the digital part of our map, the Smart Corners Digital Guide, using images on each landing page of that piece. You know, I had no issue when I first began this project. I knew that I could create a map that would reflect the spirit of the city. And I thought I was just going to make a map, as I had done for so many other clients, but never for myself. What I didn't realize was that I was creating a business, one that needed marketing and fulfillment and a website and SEO and social media presence. And so as we're moving into our second printing of the map, I'm beginning to understand that the map's a resource for the community, and the community is a resource for the map and map sales. So let's all enjoy sharing our city.